Like another boon potentially to DK to potentially pull off this win.
Here we go. Side selection, as you say, to D+. And the big picks here have really been for, in T1 series, the bottom lane. Senna taken away right away. Not going to give Guma the opportunity to play that one with Keria's wide champion pool. Well, he's found less success recently in terms of his individual impact in these Senna lanes. Really, it was picturesque how they drafted in spring season. As no Vi for Lucid. This is a common trend. No Twisted Fate for Zeus. And with a Skarner ban here, might be king and fishing for the Cassante here. Not on first pick necessarily, but as a stable follow-up second rotation.
Kalista also going to be taken off the board. That's another flex pick for the bottom lane of T1. I think that's a good shout, especially with how strong it is right now. But Ashe still very high prio in the LCK and in many regions. And, you know, if T1 don't ban it here, do you consider picking it up to try to deny it from T1? I do wonder.
I think it's a pretty good idea, especially when you consider how much Lucid has enjoyed to play the Sejuani. Although to us, we haven't enjoyed it as much. This does somewhat weaken the Sejuani pick, but the Ashe is available. So is the Rumble. That has often been blinded in the top side because it's so incredibly easy to get prio up there and make an impact across all of the game. You know, he scales well, does well in early game fights. And Lucid's Nidalee is going to be what gets locked in here instead. So there's a lot of different things available here for T1. The Taliyah is up, for example. The Rumble is up. The Ashe is up. Sejuani is up. I mean, T1, they're like, okay, you got Nidalee. We have to get the max value out of this second rotation. And I think Ashe Rumble is so good. I mean, Maokai is also still available in this draft. So there's a lot of great picks that Oner can pick up here.
Yeah, and D+ can't deny that from them in this position because they first picked Nidalee. So, and now you've got this Nidalee, the Yone's banned, so that takes away one of the mid ADs. But with Tristana available, this seems like a pretty clean and obvious answer here for Showmaker to pick up. And where else are they going to go with this one? Do they pick a...
Changed on this patch. It's a lot burlier than he was before. A little bit less glass cannon, but very like the way Kingen played it oftentimes when he was World's MVP on the pick. As we'll see the Corki come through here for Faker, very likely in this draft. Ezreal taken away, as there's no great engage here. We might see Zeri follow suit, taking that one away from aiming. This is the kind of bans we were leaning towards and expecting in the first series.
But then there's also Kai'Sa you got to worry about. I feel like you could definitely, if Nautilus is available, like Kai'Sa Nautilus could be a lane you're looking at. Kai'Sa Rel, I mean, there's a lot of options. The Varus also going to be taken off the board.
Let's see if they ban the Zeri here or not. Banning Nautilus would be a mistake, I think, because it's going to allow the Zeri to actually have some additional free reign. And perhaps it's actually banned by D+ afterwards here in the second slot as well. A lot of thought going this one. It's a really tough call in this meta for aiming. I'll take away the Lucian, which is another pick that he's really good at, that he enjoys to play in this meta.
There's just so many picks that are good in the AD carry role right now. It's just incredible. I mean, there's so many different things.
Since they can't really play Zeri, you know, in this position, banning Nautilus seems like a pretty strong move by D+ here. And, you know, you can lock the Kai'Sa. If you do give over the Nautilus, I think that T1 will be happy to take it.
Take away the Lee Sin. I mean, Oner is a fantastic Lee Sin, but there is still Poppy, Sejuani. I mean, there's a lot of power picks in the jungle left available.
Ashe Sejuani just seemed so obvious from the get-go. It's one of the most common combos. T1 have relied on it so much in the past and dominated with it. You just set up both of those ults on a single target. You shut down a Tristana. You can catch anybody and kill them. As we're looking different angles here.
No Ziggs, please. not for aiming. Twitch.
Maybe just a Zeri? Maybe that same starting letter in the draft? Yeah. Zeri, Nautilus, perhaps? I mean, Zeri Lulu in this draft could work out.
You know who also got buffed on this patch? Yuumi.
True. But not really, though. That's just a pretend
It
buff.
still counts.
Kellen likes the Yuumi, though. I mean,
yeah, you know. There's no 100% lockdown just yet. Just cleanse, but it is Leona.
Okay, both of these picks are quite strong. And I feel like the Nautilus is better into Corki, but the Leona is quite good in skirmishes in the bottom lane and anti-dive, which can be quite strong into a draft like this.
There's a lot of talk here with Guma, so it looks like Keria is going to be playing the Ashe.
Yeah, it does look like that is going to be the case. Might be like, or?
No, Keria started talking. Yep, it's going to be the Renata Glask.
This Renata has a lot of value in team fights into the aggressive Aatrox, right, into Nidalee trying to follow up when the spears connect, and the kind of dive style where the Tristana goes in to blow up a target. Really strong into Leona. In lane, will have some power, but it isn't incredibly strong with Ashe specifically. It's stronger with picks like the Draven or a Callista, where you can kind of all in and get the bailout and look for some really nice timings to actually punish the Zeri early. Whereas Faker is going to take, I think, in this draft some time to come online. I think a lot of this game is going to be for T1 around playing around this Rumble top side to see how many advantages Zeus can get up there, and if he can control the top side objectives, because bottom side is definitely going to feel like Tristana favored in terms of pushing through that. They have the Nidalee, they can clear jungle really fast with that too. And if you can constantly pressure those dragons, top side's going to be your only option as T1.
It says a real cheerleader has entered. And it's a KBO Kia cheerleader. So coming on down to support the squad here. She's a mom and she brought her 12th grade son to Lal Park.
That's her son pointing, that's my mom who brought me to Lal Park?
Yeah, I'm in 12th grade.
I think this draft for T1 is definitely one that they could pilot. They've played drafts like this extremely well in the past, but it is high skill intensive, and the timings are going to have to be hit really well with this Corki.
This is going to be a fun one. I feel like both teams got some power picks. Let's see how it goes on the Rift for game number 1.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, here we go. Nice little highlight on the Hall of Legends trophy there, as well as we do enter a game with Faker in it. And yeah, this is going to be a big one. I feel like, DK could really make a huge mark on the beginning of summer for them if they could actually topple T1 here. And a lot of us, I say a lot of us, I think it was like 4 of us predicted DK to actually take this victory, and then everybody else did go for T1, which should amount to about 6 people. Oh, it's a very common trait.
Well, the Gatling gun does expire, and Showmaker will get his resistances back, and see if Faker can make anything more out of this. Just press the attack for Showmaker as well.
He's getting pretty low, but Faker is going to explode. That's just first blood. Showmaker just going to kill him at 1 minute and 45 seconds into the game.
I really, the whole time I was watching that, I was like, I think Showmaker plays this very differently if he thinks there is even a slight chance that he loses this. And even with the Shred coming down, he's able to do that damage to press the attack. And the footwork triggers the second time there, but it's not enough damage. And that's not what you want to see for T1 here in this early game. No two ways about it.
Yeah. I mean, that just... this is pretty rough. That's going to be the cleanse out of aiming early, though. Keria going for the handshake pretty early on. And yeah, kind of an awkward start to the game.
Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't happen in the LCK.
Like, I mean, Faker doesn't miscalculate moments like that usually either. Like, he's very aware. But Showmaker, like, even gave the emote of like, did he think that was going to work?
I think that was just the automatic first blood.
Oh, first
emote,
blood. Okay. Thank God.
It was very topical, I think.
Yeah,
the way
you're
it
probably
went.
right. You're probably right. It was set to first blood, but I don't know. We'll get a look at that one again in a moment, but here we go.
So the first trade.
Yeah, the first trade. So it's just stacking the bomb here for Showmaker with his autos, half of Faker's health bar, and Faker waits for Gatling gun to come back up. And Showmaker's drinking a pot as well, refillable. And yeah,
Looks like Faker was taking, you know,
a little bit of damage.
a bit more minion damage,
Yeah.
right? That might have been the big difference. But I think the issue is that Showmaker's not taking minion damage. So,
Yeah.
you know, he's like half an auto away from dying, as, by the way, Oner is spotted here. And will have to back away, kind of on a awkward back timing.
It's just so weird to see the confidence in that play from Faker because of the way the minion wave was set up there. And it felt like he was like, no, I win this 100%. And Showmaker was like, you lose this 100%, and holds his ground and plays it out. And
Yeah.
it just ends up looking silly in a weird way, but it's a very small miscalculation. Like, you could give it to anyone and they make a small miscalculation like that. And Faker is well so known for making the best calculations. Does feel strange, but it was a high-risk play to commit to that. And the consequences are severe, as you know, Showmaker is going to be able to take a pretty significant lead in the lane that the Tristana naturally does end up getting a pretty big advantage in, as long as she doesn't take poor trades in the Gatling gun. Already has recurve bow, and with the push he has coming through, should be able to get back to lane here despite teleporting, so that's going to be a big spike in this lane. We have seen Corkies fall behind early in this matchup, but, you know, it's just a result of that solo kill.
Yeah. It's going to accelerate things for sure. As Zeri still on a win streak here, 7 in a row, and aiming. We talked many times, we mentioned it at least 3 or 4 times in the beginning of the show, that this is a really good meta for him. He's very good at Zeri. Zeri is big time in the meta, alongside of other picks that he's great at, such as the Kai'Sa, even the Xayah he's played a game of once, not as popular as some of the other picks. But yeah, definitely the numbers to back it up as well. As here comes some pressure, potentially.
Yeah, Oner's coming over here, though, so
Faker is, it looks like he is not going to enter the brush. Kellen is still here, and okay, it looks like they do know now, as there's a ward. Lucid also coming on over, wanting to make sure that they don't give this Drake away for free. There is some nice bot lane prio to the side of T1. Just with the range support matchup into the Leona, they were able to push that in early on.
yeah.
But they're not able to utilize it to actually get this dragon just yet.
Yeah, with the Corki getting pushed in on now by Showmaker here, Faker is not going to be able to join. Level 6 advantage for Showmaker here for a moment as well. And we are potentially going to have some fireworks here.
Yeah, Faker's going in there. He's going to get the jump in from Showmaker and ult away as well. So essentially just a trade. But at the end of the day, it doesn't look like DK want to commit to a fight on the Drake. So they just back away, take the trade in mid, and now he's going to go up to the Grubs. As we saw a short trade in the top side. It looks like Zeus is winning that matchup as well.
Yeah, that's really huge for him. That's a matchup you want to be winning. He has the Swifties already. And as much as Huni doesn't like that, it is quite helpful into the Aatrox. It's a stylistic preference. Gonna see some attempted deny here, but it will be punished.
Yeah, looks like T1 want to go for the fight, but the Equalizer already online here. It doesn't really hit anyone except Kellen, but now Kellen is absolutely isolated. But you do see that Zeus and the rest of T1 will back away, as they do not elect to fight after Kellen got super low. And so it will be the Grubs over to DK.
Really confident play here from T1 to come over and contest that. The Equalizer with the Prio heads goes down, but like you said, it really only hit Kellen. And with the rotation of King and coming over, there's just no way they could stick around on the play there. And it will be all 3 Grubs going to D+. Now, the gold here is with that first blood, basically just still sitting around first blood diff here. But you notice the bottom lane, Guma has been playing it 1v1 here against Aiming. At this point, the Ashe is really starting to win these trades, has Berserker Greaves, so Aiming's getting pushed in on here, significantly down on farm. Top side, you already mentioned it, Zeus is winning in terms of the farm up here as well. So good trade back here for D+. They're able to pick up those Grubs. Great, of course, that they got that first blood, but Dragon going over to T1, and these lanes are starting to give incremental advantages to T1 for our next big fight.
Yeah, we'll see how it does continue from there. King, and he's being froze on just a little bit. He Doesn't want to give up the cannon, so he has to hit that. It might have pushed into him just a little bit faster if he hadn't taken it down, but of course he wants the money. As it looks like, finally, it is going to push back into him. It's not a hard freeze or anything like that, but still just aiding Zeus to extend his lead from where he's at this point. Faker still putting on some pressure, but at the end of the day, outside of the kill, I mean, Faker is staying even in farm at this point in time, so
yeah,
it's somewhat even.
It will even take a lead after this wave, assuming he hits all of those, which he does. So really well played from Faker, great recovery, still holding flash. I think both jungle players have made a pretty large impact. The farming from Lucid is obviously, as he's Nidalee in this case, quite significant, but the cover there in mid meant that Showmaker couldn't really snowball that further, even though Kellen came over to try for it. He's going to push this one in. Faker will be able to catch most of these, though. Hard to use this prio at this stage, especially with the lack of control that Aiming and Kellen have on the bottom side. No dragon up, so we're going to have a bit of a slowdown on the action in this one. Yeah. So we're just watching mid.
We're just watching mid. I don't think Faker's going to take any trades like we saw at the beginning of the game anymore. We do have Oner here. He's level 7. He's got his ult available, and he's looking to make a play here onto Kingen. And will they have the damage to burst him down is really the question before Kingen can flash away.
Text Drinker.
He's going to go in with the stun. There's the equalizer. Immediately flash away. But now we got a 2v2 on the bottom side. Guma getting very, very low. As Lucid is coming in here, Kingen does go down to the top lane, but Guma in a bit of trouble. Might have to flash away from this one. Flash in from the side of Lucid, and he will pick up the kill onto Guma. Gets there on time in the bottom lane to trade kills for the team.
So at least they're able to get something back there on the bottom side. Kingen, of course, flashing and still dying down there, and Zeus is going to pick up more than just the kill. We'll pick up a plate down or up there on the top side as well. So really significant pick there, but a great reaction from Lucid to go down bottom side and set up that kill. Kellen also helping out heavily there on the turn. I think Guma and Keria, knowing Zeus was topside there, could have played that a little bit more passively. Didn't have vision, I believe, unless that was a newly placed control. We'll see that in the replay of the rotation coming over bottom side. And that's much needed gold down in the bottom lane, but the bailout does deny it from Aiming. So watch this again. Kingen going in for the aggressive trade. Instantly flashes, permafrost hits him. He is burnt down by the channel of the Q, which is overheated. And then that ward is cleared. Kellen has the control ward there. They know where he is. And yet still, Guma decides to opt into this trade here in range of Zenith Blade, and that's really what's going to be the last nail in the coffin. And you can see, based on the movement there at Kellen, he's like, we get both if I play this just right. Yeah. Forces Keria's flash. They will still get Guma. It goes to Lucid because of the bailout. Aiming's not able to pick that one up, but still a successful bottom side play. They get the flash as well. He's not happy that the kill didn't go to him.
Yeah. It's like, it's very moment time, man. I need those kills. And I feel like Guma went in when Keria just used all his cooldowns, right? Like, he just went in, opted for the trade. Kellen and Aiming were absolutely looking for that trade, especially with their jungler coming over. So, bit of a awkward timing for Guma to continue on that one. The 1v1, it looked fine, but besides that, not so much. Oner is going to show his face as we do have this. Aiming's in a lot of trouble, actually. He's just dead. He doesn't have cleanse. He just is going to get stunned up by the Ash Arrow. It's Ash Sejuani, and he just gets 100-0.
And neither player are buying the item or building towards it, but I feel like there's a lot of bot lane hubris going on, Valdez. So I see a little bit of aggressive play. In this case, you just chain CC to death without cleanse. You got to know that is going to be how Sejuani Ashe works. We've seen it a million times. You've got to deal with the Renata as well in this position, and that is going to be the Dragon going over. Now, top side, they will be able to get the second set of bubs, so that's a significant amount of damage to turrets for this Tristana later on. This is definitely a huge win for D+, but it felt like it came at the expense of definitely an overextension down there on the bottom side. So a death apiece for our 80 carries. And Guma pulls ahead in farm once again.
Yeah. All in all, still a pretty even game state. I think Tier 1 with the Drakes and the fact that they have taken the gold lead probably a bit more comfortable, but as you mentioned, the 6 bubs are going to feel pretty nice for this composition.
It will certainly help D+ catch up very quickly if they get control of the map.
Zeus has flash, and Kingen does not, so yep, just going to trade flashes with the support. Nicely done by Kellen to show his face, and to put some pressure on the other lanes. Aiming about to pick up a plate there.
So Kellen is caught here initially, and Aiming decides, okay, you know, we have our mid laner teleporting in, but just walks forward here, and it's just as simple as that. The Renata ultimate also denying any sort of follow-up if there was to be, but there wasn't. And they just shut him down. Chain CC, no cleanse. A bit of an unfortunate moment there for Aiming and Kellen, who was initially caught. As you can see, the gold leads here across the board, significant for Showmaker. Small Nidalee farm lead, but otherwise incremental advantages for Guma. And that top side is where T1 really have the strong advantage with the Rumble. It's going to be really important on these next few team fights. Talk about First Herald, Soul Point. Zeus does not have teleport, so needs to be controlling this lane as well as he is. And so far, so good.
Aiming's going top. Maybe trying to put some pressure on that top turret once the plates fall. He was able to get the one plate in bot. And that's about all he's going to get in terms of plate gold for himself. So
he is a gold farmer for sure.
Yeah.
Valdez.
I mean, he was actually annoyed that he wasn't able to pick up the kill, right? And it does matter. I mean, you get a couple of plates instead of one. You get a kill instead of none. Like, that could be the difference between you carrying a team fight in the mid game and, you know, just falling by the wayside. So Aiming certainly knows where his bread is buttered.
And that's an assist bottom side on that play that's split between 3 as well, so it's just really not that much gold he picks up from that assist versus grabbing the kill itself. As over here, T1 start the Herald first. Zeus is rotating down, has his equalizer at the ready, and they're kiting towards this choke point, making it very difficult for D+ to play around this, knowing that Zeus is going to reappear, but they do get the leash.
Yeah, King not pulling the trigger on the TP. Not wanting to join up just yet. And T1 taking some pot shots here at this mid turret, but for now it's not really much. And now no flash here for Zeus. He's just dead. He's just isolated on the top of the map. Kellen once again. And baited by Aiming, so nicely done by the duo of DK, and that's going to be Zeus going down.
That was a really good call just in general for D+, how slowly they played the Herald, knowing Zeus was near but wasn't there yet. Pushing T1 off of it, getting the reset as Faker tries to push mid. Showmaker, this Tristana can clear the wave so quickly, so he clears that. They find Zeus on the top side. It's a great play from Kellen. And as you mentioned, knowing there's no flash on Zeus on that previous trade on the top side, Kellen's the one who made it happen. He can call out no flash still on Rumble. Go for the Zenith Blade there, pick up the kill. Significant damage done to the bottom turret by Kingen. Now trying to defend this one, he will not be able to, so it's a turret for a turret, but a kill going over to D+. Their gold lead here, pushing up to 1,000 now nearly over T1. This game, very close.
Yeah, it definitely is. It felt like T1 were like edging into the lead, but now DK are edging back into the lead. And, you know, Lucid, he got the one kill, but obviously what this Nidalee offers you is just incredible farm leads as well. I mean, he's so fed right now. He has the Lich Bane. They're looking for Zeus, I think, although it's taking quite a while to actually go for this, as now we're going to go for it. The spear coming out of the jungle, and still no flash available for Zeus, as that spear won't land, but it doesn't matter. They got what they came for.
Man, they're just camping him now. He comes right back to lane without teleport and is blown up, and he has no TP still. Faker's over here catching this, but that means mid is open. And there's a ward in this brush. Kellen has Hex Flash, he comes over. T1 have already left the vicinity, and there's just no survivability on a Rumble into this area. So there's the kill Aiming was looking for. Then over here, there's no vision for T1 in this river whatsoever. The vision control is insane. They have a ward in the lane. They have a control ward, banana left of the red buff, one to the right side of it. They know T1 have no idea they're there, and why would they think they would be? And it's just a dead Rumble again. 2 kills to D+. That gold lead now to 1,500.
Yeah, it really just comes down to the earlier pick allows them to push into the jungle, set up vision control, vision lead, and then Zeus thinks he's safe. He's right next to the turret, but that ward in the lane that you mentioned, that was really the big one. So now, Aiming? Is he safe? I guess he is. Okay, he's just going to take that into the turret. And now they're engaging. Kellen going back in, maybe a little bit too deep this time around. Going to eat the arrow, but he's still alive. The follow-up, not quite there from T1 just yet. Kellen gets out alive as equalizer going to be dropped down. Kellen, perhaps I spoke too soon. He's going to burn down as Zeus will at least be able to trade that kill back, and that should be a dragon here for T1.
Yeah, the timing of this is really going to hurt D+. The kill is in itself painful alone, but without this Leona, it's really difficult to contest. Kingen wants to do it though. Oner's low.
Yeah, they want to fight this. I mean, Oner with how low he is, they don't seem to know he's in the bush, and now TP's coming in as Showmaker getting back, trying to isolate and assassinate the jungler, and now everybody doesn't have a frontline. Zeus is going super deep for the kill, but everybody else is just on the run as King in this very scary Aatrox will push them off the drain.
I mean, some of the best peel you're going to have in this team fight is going to be the Rumble, but he's chasing on the wrong side. And this ends up being a win here for D plus 2 kills. This game gets insanely scrappy. Charge going to come through here, but Kellen's had such a great game. He's been so aggressive. He bites off more than he can chew here, but because he's Leona and he's got Aftershock, he lives for so incredibly long, and actually it still connects despite the handshake there. Flashes back, hit by the Ash Arrow, stunned. Oner with the Permafrost, or the charge there. I believe actually the Arctic Assault was going to hit him in this case. Then he's hit by this, and Faker Valkyries forward to hit that rocket. If he doesn't hit the rocket, Kellen actually survives, so great play from Faker as well to make sure Zeus could secure the kill. Ocean Rift, abuse by Kingen over here. Looking to push onto Oner with the teleport. Again, no vision to see this teleport flank. So many great wards from D+ this game. That's a kill going over. Then Zeus chasing, aiming here. Means that there's no peel for Kingen. Bursting through this backline. T1, 1 for 2, minus a dragon.
And look at this. Kellen, is it personal? Like, what's going on here? We're just bullying Zeus, and they might as well. I mean, again, he doesn't have flash in this situation. He used it in the last fight, and that's just another kill onto the Rumble. And that does mean that T1, though, are going to look for their own push in the top lane.
And there's no teleport for Showmaker to come back to defend.
Uh-oh, King in a lot of trouble here. They have way too much CC, and yep, he's just going to go down, so T1 able to trade it back.
And, you know, they still get the inner top side. I think T1 will be able to eventually do this. It's going to take them a really long time, but there's so much map control gained by D+ from this. And the Tristana is always going to outspeed basically anybody on the map at turret races when you have 6 grubs. And now they're caught because it took them so long to take this turret. D+ look like they want to try to go for the punish.
They really want to.
I mean, they can't catch them, though.
Aiming is running over every type of vision in the game. And, yeah. Didn't necessarily have to do that, but there's not much on the map at this point in time, I guess. Kellen, level 7 still. Keria, level 9.
T1 thrive in these types of trades or chase skirmishes as well. If you see T1 like pushed way up and you're chasing them for a long time, that's a sign to leave. They're going to turn it into a Baron start.
They're going to do the T1 Baron to T1.
Yeah, and, you know, Aatrox coming over. Kingen's not that far away. Oner's half held by this huge Tristana who's got Last Whisper.
I mean, Showmaker's going to have 3 items at like 22 minutes into the game. That's not fair.
He has 4 kills, an inner turret's worth of gold on top of everything else.
He's going to do it again.
Yeah, and T1 cannot do anything about this. Zeus just now getting his equalizer back. I don't know if they have Hawk Shot. I assume not.
They all went back. I mean, yeah, there's the Hawk Shot, but can they actually get into this pit? Kellen's going over as Equalizer comes down, but now Oner denied access to the pit. He will not get in, and the Baron goes the way of DK. Guma just dies. Not sure how that happened. And DK are just getting bonus kills across the map. Yeah, Kellen did have to sacrifice, but it is a big win.
Yeah, Showmaker doesn't have TP. They could take their lucky stars for that one, or he might be looking to make a cross map as well as the rest of the team cleans back up and heads home. So Kellen is crazy on this play, but I think it's the right call to keep Oner out. He took so much damage from the last exchange with Showmaker that he has to back, so he can't get back to the pit here. And Guma is just fishing for some chain CC here onto the front line, which is in this case a Zeri. But he's just caught and blown up, disrespecting the damage output of D+. And this might be the last straw to break the camel's back at this point, Valdez, because D+ now have a 3-item Tristana. You mentioned just moments before he was getting closer to it. The Baron gold is going to be enough to get him there. They have a 3,000 gold lead here. The Zeri is online, has Runins. So get ripped through these health bars with multiple members here. The Sejuani just isn't going to feel all that tanky with an LDR on this Tristana at 22 minutes.
Faker's just up here in the top lane. He does not have flash, and he is trying to take down Kellen, but I can tell you he will not. As down he will go. Showmaker gonna get his 5th kill of this first game. And just like that, you know, Faker trying to desperately push out lanes, he gets caught. And it's a big mistake that's gonna lead to DK getting even more value in the top lane.
And Dragon's up in 30 seconds here. T1 have the Scuttle Crab, but they're just desperately trying to defend this inner Zeus on a flank angle. going to avoid the spear at least, but he's only got one equalizer, and there's so many different angles he has to protect. And Kingen can go start that dragon if T1 want to defend this turret that badly. In 20 seconds here, if he's left alone, he's actually pushing mid. And I mean, Baron buff is just so real here. It's just doing so much. T1 don't have enough wave clear to deal with it.
Yeah. The Void Grubs as well really helping out. I mean, they just melt at this point in time. Faker now TPing over towards the Dragon. T1 might be able to take this one just based on the back timing of DK if they rushed it right now, but doesn't even look like they want to go for that. It is just an individual Ocean Drake at this point in time, so honestly for T1, I think you just want to wait for really late game scenarios where the Corki is also really huge and maybe your Ashe also gets online, but I mean, it's kind of grasping at straws a bit, I'd say.
You can see the item value 2,000 higher for that of Showmaker over Faker, but it's the same story for Aiming, who's been given a ton of the non-kill gold in this game, as he always is. And it's just, for T1 here, Corki has 2 items. He hit his IE spike, but he can't carry alone with all these threats. You know, the poke of the Nidalee, the Aatrox that has 2 items now, but his Eclipse is the big issue. And Leona getting on top of him means he just instantly dies. The Ashe has Kraken Slayer Trinity Force. You know, Ashe, not always known for her high-level damage, but you can see actually second highest in the game at this point. But what she really needs to do in this game now is set up an arrow maybe into Oner getting somebody, into them getting a pick with Equalizer, because in the 5v5, I don't think you win these for now.
All right, they're trying to go on to the Leona once again, but yeah, he is going to go down. A bit of damage is traded back.
That's the kind of pick I'm talking about. At least he got something.
They did get Kellen, who has been really good in this game, but he does Hex Flash in, throw a Solar Flare into the wind. I mean, I guess it did kind of hit Guma, but that was about it. And then he does get punished for that. So now DK still sticking around in a 4v5, and they don't seem to care. They seem confident to take these fights.
Okay, Zeus with no ult, but he's going on to Aiming.
Yeah, Aiming's getting in there. He is in a lot of trouble. Okay, really nice ult here from Showmaker to help him out. And the poke is still coming out from the side of DK to push them back.
I feel like D+ are making it really hard for themselves, but they're still winning it in this one as Aiming pushed up super far. But he has Shield Bow, and he has the ult there from Showmaker, as you mentioned, to peel for him, so he doesn't get punished. They have 2 Ocean Dragons, so they got burnt down a little bit, but those health bars will come back pretty quick. Aiming as well with the Shield Bow, as you can see here, could just heal back up to full. We'll see it back from Showmaker and Lucid, who now has his Zonias completed here. And it's really only the Rumble, despite all those focuses of him and Kellen's almost vendetta against him. He still maintains a lead, but he can't get it done alone. The Ashe 2,000 gold behind, the Corki 2,000 gold behind means picks like the one we saw just moments ago onto Kellen need to happen more consistently. But without vision, without map control, it's really going to rely on a mistake from Kellen, as we saw in the said last play, for them to get it. If they could, for example, catch Tristana when she's trying to go in and blow her up, or catch Aiming if he's being greedy, pushing up too far in the mid lane, maybe that's a way back into the game, but these are veteran players who just don't make mistakes like that.
Yeah, double QSS right now. They have put their gold to good use, and they are going to be ready for any kind of engage that does come out from Sejuani, from the Ashe. And you see T1 desperately just trying to get some vision around this Baron that is going to spawn in 45 seconds. And you don't always see it this early, trying to set up for Baron vision, but based on the fact that DK can just do it at 20 minutes, they can absolutely do it now at 26 minutes in the blink of an eye with their 2 fed carries, not to mention the Nidalee.
I said, what if you get caught? Double QSS now, so I mean,
yeah.
You're not catching them.
It's not going to happen. And DK, they are pushing in. As a squad, they're going to take out this mid-inner. And yeah, T1, essentially they just have to kind of turtle up in this red buff jungle. That's really the only way to get in, as now, trying to catch Lucid. They may have just done it. Yes, they did. They put their CC to use. He doesn't have a QSS. And now Guma getting in there. He's got the damage items. He takes out Kellen. And a chance here. Guma.
Kingen's flanking.
Woo! The shield comes in from the Renata Glass. Kingen? Okay, I don't know why this keeps happening to Dave Droxes. He's dead. Not sure what is going on in this game.
Just like that, T1's back in it, baby. All I need is a pick. All I need is an Ashe arrow into a Sejuani ultimate. We talked about it in draft so much. This is what brings them back into this one. Now they're on the Baron. Showmaker and Aiming have something to say about this. It's not a freebie, but with this TP coming through, it's just so hard for D+ to contest. Their jungler's dead for 5. T1 are back in the game.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And that's going to be the Baron that does go down to T1. We'll see just how large the power play does get because, you know, generally with Baron kills, you can sometimes get a bunch of kills on your opponents as well. We'll have to wait and see how this happens, though.
So Lucid just throws a spear, reveals his location, even though he has a controller. They instantly ward it and then chain those CCs together. And Kellen, of course, gets incredibly low here. Guma flashes for this, and they don't have enough damage. They nearly do, but don't quite have enough. Now, Kingen here, well, I mean, I'm much more interested in Kingen. So he doesn't go straight for the flash onto Guma or anything like that. He just kind of waits. And then I guess hopes that Guma was walking through at that timing and
I think
flash
it was just
forward.
a misclick. I don't know.
I mean, I really just, I can't tell you guys. And we've seen so many moments from King in this season that are incredible, that are super good. We're like, wow, this man's improved. Then we've seen him in the same game make a call like that out of desperation.
Now, while they're trying to clear the waves here, as a lot of committal onto Kellen once again. Lucid wants to take the 1v1 versus Faker, and it might have baited him into it. Showmaker going over the top, but the bailout comes out. It doesn't matter, though, because the Zeri picks up a double kill in mid, and now they are on the chase, and they can chase so quickly. Not going to be able to close the gap just yet, but aiming will as he is Zeri. Going to try to slow down Keria here, as they do have the Leona over the wall as well. Keria definitely going to be sent to the fishes and will eventually die. And it does look like DK should be able to take this Ocean Drake as well.
Amy's like, come on, I swear to God, if you ignite him, I swear to God. All right, so now the Soul Point is going to come over. Do not ignite him.
Okay, I'm backing.
Do not touch
I won't touch him.
Do not touch my gold. Self-bailout.
I am the Gold King. You are not the Gold King.
Because, like, Keria's like, if he ignites me, self-bailout, like, I could give the kill. As we go back to this play here, like, Lucid ends up buying a ton of space, actually, because Faker is pushed away here. He does end up using his Zonias, gets stunned by the Ash Arrow, and even though they get the kill there, it's just, I mean, it doesn't matter because there's a Zeri, right? There's two huge AD carry threats that are larger than life.
Here we go again. Kingen gonna be caught out, but this time he's got some help, and Zeus will be able to get the kill. But it will be also Kingen getting back on the board. And to be honest, I mean, if I'm DK, I'll take that trade because Zeus at this point in time seems a lot more valuable than the Aatrox that doesn't have flash.
Yeah, it's really tough for Zeus in this game because he has a lot of money, right? And he can make a large impact if there's a front line there for him. And in a 1v1 isolated like this, of course you win those, but it's not a 1v1 at the end of the day. So does go down, losing a little bit of control here of the map over to D+, because they have this Tristana that's still so good at pushing waves, still so good at taking out turrets. Baron is done here, so they only ended up with 1,700 gold. The power play, so Dent's D+'s massive lead they had moments before. Corki's got rapid fire cannon now. You've got your Terminus online as Guma. But it's picks like the ones we've been seeing where Oner and Guma are synced up and Zeus drops an equalizer. They kill somebody that we've got to keep seeing. The QSSs make it tougher, no doubt. Aiming having his cleanse back up makes it tougher, no doubt. But T1 still can win a miracle fight if all the stars align. They have the items, they have the tools. Randuin's done for Oner, so he's very tanky, can help set some of this up. Bailout also going to be strong if Kellen makes a whoopsie, goes in too deep. The team tries to collapse. You know, there are ways for T1 to get back into it, but that Baron, it gave them an extra lease on life. But it alone is not enough.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, in situations like these, generally we say it doesn't only take one mistake, it takes like a slew of mistakes in a row. And this hasn't been the cleanest game by any means from both teams. So there is still a chance, but I still like TK's position here from ahead. The Tristana has just been a huge thorn in their side. And Showmaker did go very deep onto a Corki that's also decently fed and has bailout in the last fight. Doesn't necessarily have to even do that for the following fights here. And his damage is going to just be a huge threat in this game as we are cresting into the late game here, 32 minutes in.
Warmox across the board here. You know, Oner's got one, both supports have it, so that plus the fact that there's 3 Ocean Drakes here for D+. His poke damage is pretty negligible at this point.
Yeah.
And even chipping away at Oner's health bar, he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm going to go right back up to full. Doesn't have any Oceans himself, but Oromogs alone will really easily get that health back, so he's not too worried about getting hit by Nidalee Spears. Aiming, and his buddy looking for a pick on Faker.
Yeah, Faker does not have flash, but he is quirky, and they didn't have 100% vision on where everybody else was. Hingen is moving up towards the top side to push this wave, and it looks like DK as a team just really want to pressure all the lanes, and now they're going to find Faker. He still doesn't have his flash, and he is going to die again.
And there's no way that T1 could do anything about this either, because they don't have control of the Baron pit, they don't have control of top, they backed away. Showmaker had TP this whole time too, so had they been able to find an angle, he would have been able to join the Baron pit instantly. And this is just a great macro call, utilizing this Fed Tristana.
Yeah.
You get a kill, you get an inhibitor turret, and now, in 15 seconds, you're likely to get the Baron.
You see how they use it. They don't even overcommit to the inhibitor because they want their back timings to be ready for the Baron. So Kellen's warding, just the team composition, the way they're playing together, the team coordination, I should say. And the way they're pushing in all the waves, just preparing for the objective, it's just a work of art here, the macro from DK, which has not been the case at all.
Oh, really
in
hasn't.
Spring.
And now they're pushing multiple waves into that inhibitor turret. Someone has to answer that, or money is burning, but so is the Baron. T1 gonna have to be decisive. Keria lost his Celestial Opposition. I think he's got it back now, but someone has to engage, and it's probably gonna have to be Oner and Guma. But they've got QSSs.
Oh, yeah, you can see Oner's just getting zoned away, but now they're trying to turn on to Kellen. He's all alone. They immediately burst him down. So much for the tanky Leona.
And they're backing away. The Baron's going to reset. And T1, thinking about starting it up themselves, will clear this vision. Taming's trying to aggravate it.
That's a scary Baron. Does some decent damage. And, you know, it is just Kellen, but still going to be useful. And as you mentioned, it is going to be T1 kind of posturing around here, resetting vision.
Don't forget, too, Showmaker can like TP to the base as well. Like they have these waves pushing, so if you do heavily commit as T1, you might lose more than an inhibitor for it with this Fed Tristana who's not showing on the map. Aiming's just trying to buy time.
I mean,
okay, I don't know.
He's so deep, and now we have a TP coming in. And Aiming, yes, he is going to QSS. He is trying to fight here against Faker, but he goes down immediately. Now Keria getting super low fake. Showmaker going to be isolated. Down he goes. And I guess Aiming just assumed Kingen could get there on time and they could turn this around, but the case was not to be made.
I thought he was just going up so Showmaker could TP to the bottom wave or something. I don't know about this, but this is a disaster.
I don't think these two alone can kill Kingen, actually. They need an AD carry. Kingen on full health, and Guma is eventually coming over, and that'll get the job done, right? Yeah.
I was going to say, I have good news for Valdez. He is coming. Well, I don't like to use the T word, Valdez. I don't like to say it. It implies intentionally losing a game that was won, and that's not what happened here. But what a throw from D+! I mean, this is fine. That's fine. This is not fine, as Oner just comes up and pushes onto Aiming. Kingen is pushing way too deep, and Showmaker, I thought perhaps he was just going to push for bottom and say, you can't do Baron or I'm going to take your base. And the decision-making was clearly not that, because Showmaker just teleports into a Renata ult range and dies. Kingen's left alone, he buys time. But now in live, T1 have taken a significant gold lead. They've taken Baron, they've taken Soul Point. And they're still standing gold on this map. I thought D+ KT was the scrappy D+ matchup. I guess today we learned it's all the D+ matchups.
Yeah. It's just D+ against telecom teams, right? For some reason.
I mean, even the Hanwha series minus the first game was a little rough around the edges.
And we were just praising them for their great macro and great team coordination.
I mean, I saw a few angles there. I was like, oh man, Showmaker TPs, what's T1 gonna do about it? You know, but if Aiming just goes and dies and then he teleports to die too, I guess then T1 maybe wins the game.
Yeah, I mean,
good punish from T1, but you know, D+, you asked for it.
Game is not over yet, but 2 minutes of Baron is going to be hard to deal with. T1 pushing right down the middle of the map, which actually the least valuable lane to push, but still going to take it. Maybe look to push one of the other lanes that are currently pushed into them.
I mean, it is crazy, too, that looking at the next objective, it's the 7th dragon of the game. It's still just Ocean Soul, which is arguably our second lowest impact. It can be quite useful in a game with Nidalee Spears, obviously, and a little bit of quirky poke, some rumble poke, depending on how the setup goes on these objectives, but that is the next fight here, is T1 gets Baron, gets an inhibitor, but then otherwise has to kind of back off. And there's still anyone's game to take. It's really just going to be about the next team fight, very likely. But when you look at the map too, bottom lane is open for T1. Mid lane is open for D+. And Tristana, once she gets that TP back, that same split push win con I mentioned before is still a possibility here for Showmaker. So T1 kind of have to play respectfully, make sure that bottom lane is pushed out as much as possible. Arguably, as you mentioned, mid might not have been the best call. Bottom could have been more valuable, but easier to get mid, no doubt.
Yeah, well, they'll take that and see what else they can get. I think they don't want to overextend, and they are going to send a TP down on the bottom side. There's only 50 seconds here on the Baron buff, as Faker did go back and pick up a GA. Here comes the arrow, not going to hit anything, as that is a Zeri. As now, Kellen going to get in front of that one, and now he's in a bit of trouble. Pretty tanky on the Leona, but not tanky enough. Down he will go. And even aiming took a bunch of damage from that equalizer. So Zeus, this Rumble, this Fed Rumble, a big pressure point in this game. And T1, they open up the base.
Kingan's also just trying to buy time, but he may very well be dead. Gets away from the handshake. Just trying to buy time. Kellen's up in 30, but man, this push is real. Baron's still up for 15 seconds here.
Well, they're going to prevent that back, and that means it's a 4v3 with the support going out. And yes, aiming is very scary. The ult comes out, and immediately T1 are going to back away from that one. They don't have Baron buff anymore.
I did watch a professional player, Renata, chase a 3-item Aatrox. Tossed Redemption at him.
Yeah.
You are not going back. But T1 are not going to be able to get anything more here. In fact, both Nexus turrets still survive. One on a last thread of health. The T1 won't be able to get anything off of this play, minus the deep vision bottom side for the dragon that spawns that will be Soul. As there's no tank in this composition realistically for D+, Kellen always has to be the one to step in and take one for the president, right? And that has always been his job since he and Aiming have been duo partners on this team. He will step in and take one for the president. QSS was available. Clans, I'm not 100% sure, because he actually got rid of the QSS, in fact.
Yeah.
I take it back, so perhaps he didn't have that. He definitely didn't. So ends up being the right call to stop the AD carry from going down, but he has a job to play, has a role to play. He's the front line, he's got Eclipse, he's got Warmogs, he's got a Locket. Man, he's got to be the one who's going to take that abuse from T1, but it costs them big.
And yet the game is still not over. If this were Elder and T1 got this huge push into the base, they take 2 inhibitors, they have huge setup on the Elder, and they get it, they probably just win the game from there, and then we just move on to game 2. But getting Ocean Soul, I feel like DK, they've done a good job of pushing out these waves in mid and bot. And worst case scenario, they just, they see what they can see, maybe take some pokes, see if they can get some nice damage, find an angle. But if they don't, they can also just give it up and say, okay, you have your Ocean Soul, but we'll be ready with inhibitors available for the next Baron fight, which is in a minute 20.
Yeah, I
so
think
they'll have the mid inhibitor at least.
Heading into this one, I mean, they have some defensive vision to the left of the pit. They have got that setup in the Ocean Brush inside the pit, but it's getting cleared out now. Not going to fall for a King and angle there. You got to be really cautious about fighting this one out, D+. As we are approaching, we're very close to our longest game of the season, which is 4 minutes from now, and it was another D+ game versus HLE, so they've planned the longest games of our season so far. Average game time definitely longest, and with these inhibitors down, pushing through the bottom, or rather the mid lane right now is the Super Minions. They just have to give this up, and Ocean Soul, not going to be a huge game changer. It feels great, especially into the Nidalee I mentioned, but is it going to feel like game losing? It's not Elder, but the Baron that spawns in 30 seconds that they still have to deal with now, that might be enough to get T1 to just push through and end. Kingan has teleport. Something always important to consider, even if this Baron does go over. He's got a few flank wards he could potentially come towards and change the trajectory of this game. But in terms of the Baron pit, T1 have full control at the moment. Yeah. Zeus does not have TP, so he's rushing as quickly as he can to get back to this pit, but T1 have just enough time to get him over here.
Yeah, and it does look like Kingan's actually going to stay with the squad. I thought maybe he would go bot because there are Super Minions pushing in there. But he wants to be ready to go right away. He does not want to be delayed. And, as you mentioned, T1, they cleared out a lot of the vision. There aren't actually very many flank wards as, okay, missed arrow once again, that's fine. So he's going to be here. He's not going to look for the flank. He's just going to be ready to go, and maybe he'll back once the super minions hit the base. His flash, very nice from the side of Lucid, but Oner has to use his as well to try to make that play happen.
T1 have very rarely won fights if those combos aren't landing. Now both the Arrow and the Glacial Prison down here, and T1 in a front to back against 280 carries. It is going to be tough. Faker's got his GA here. He is also full build.
Look at the timing of when they start this. Right when they know Kingen has to go back.
Yeah, and to get him back here, he's going to have to TP. But the timing of this, I mean, they could rush it down so quickly.
Yeah, there's just no way. And DK, they just got to back out of this one. But now Kellen, he's slowed forever. And the equalizer big once again. But that's on a 280 carries with a lot of PL. And now Kellen, he's not going to get whipped there. Flailed by the Sejuani.
Faker got hit by a spear, but he's got that Ocean Soul cranking.
Yeah.
His health back so quick.
And he's got a Renata right there as well. The flash goes in and immediately, oh! Down goes Zeus so quickly in trade of Kellen. And DK will take that, although Aiming and Showmaker are both very low.
Yeah, they have to get back into the fountain, which means this inhibitor is going down no matter what. Bruised Nexus turret, and they're trying to push onto Kingen, who's TP'd for the flank.
Kingen, what's going on in this game, my guy? He's just been everywhere, man. He's just all over the map, but now he's trying to trade on a Faker. Very nice flash away from Faker as Kingen tried to flash on top of him. That will be the Aatrox going down.
Shaky call. T1 were already on the retreat, and even though Kingen is a big Aatrox, he went Randuin's, and it's buffed, or rather reworked Aatrox. We have changed, where arguably his damage is a little bit weaker to actually look for burst targets on this patch, and he goes for a flank there when T1 were leaving, I think a bit greedy, and now that he's down, I mean, T1 are ready to push again with Baron. He's not up for 35.
This is just like tower defense at this point, as we do have a nice handshake. And T1, I think they can just kind of group up for this one, take the bottom inhibitor. And again, nothing that DK can do without their Aatrox, even with Zeus not there. And so that's two inhibitors down again.
The fact that they have a Tristana that's this big and how quickly he can clear waves, Showmaker can, is part of why they're back in this game. This is not quite the smolder angle, but it's really difficult for T1 to end when their CC is on cooldown.
Look at Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, if he kills Aiming, he feels like the MVP.
I mean, he just died so fast. I don't even blame him.
And this is just quite peculiar here from King, and he buys some time for his team, but I think the goal was something a little bit greater than that.
It looked like he wanted to pull the mid-wave minions, and then he got spotted, obviously, and then they were right there and they just TP'd on him. I don't know, it was weird. As now, speaking of which, Oner, and he's just going to go in on that one. Showmaker going to get CC'd up once again as he's in a bit of trouble. The Renata ult comes in, and that frontline Aiming is just burning down. Down will go Kellen, down will go Aiming, and it looks like T1 have finally done it, but Showmaker still alive. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to this base all by his lonesome with Lucid. In goes Faker, okay. Nice amount of damage done once again by Showmaker, but there's just too many guys here on the side of T1.
I think T1's done it. Valdez, the comeback was real. It wasn't easy, it wasn't clean, but the resilience, you can absolutely